Good morning. We'd like to call the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is absent at the moment. Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown is absent at the moment. We have a quorum.
All right. I do know Councilman Gallagher is here. We pulled up at the same time. He's probably doing something else. I hope my colleagues had a minute to look over the minutes for the May 3rd meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
Also move. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved for the May 3rd, 2016 meeting. We have two items that are referred to the committee today. We're going to go out of order since we have guests, and the second item might cause a little lengthy discussion. So, Chrissy, if you could read item B.
Resolution 2016-0099, confirming the county executive's appointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga Community College Board of Trustees for the term 6/23/2016 through 6/22/2021, as printed on the agenda.
All right, Mr. Glassburn, good morning. If you could give us a background on this committee, please.
Good morning. The
appointment.
Tri-C Board of Trustees is a 9-member board. It is the governing board for the community college. 3 of the appointees are by the governor and 6 are by the county. With these 2 appointments, we will have all of our 6 filled and current. We are we're going to be requesting to pass these on second reading due to a meeting on June 23rd, but we are making these appointments just about right on time. So with these 2 appointments, we are maintaining the geographic, gender, racial, and all other forms of diversity that we currently have on this board.
All right, thank you, Mr. Glassburn. Yeah, that was one of my requests since the inception, is that we really have the boards and commissions that reflect the county, to reflect the diversity that we have living here. And as Executive Budish came on, he was on board with that, and that is a good thing. That so when individuals from the county, if they can't make it down, they can watch us live stream, that they could see these open processes, and that they could see that there's a reflection and that anybody is welcome to participate in the county. So I'm very thankful for that. This morning we have 2 appointments, and as Mr. Glassburn stated, for those that are watching, the last meeting before Tri-C Board goes on a summer recess will be June 23rd. So it is imperative for Tri-C, as well as for the individuals that have stood up to participate, that they get to meet the other board members and kind of get a quick introduction into what they have signed on to, so to speak. So we won't go out of order. We'll bring up Reverend Corey Jenkins to the podium, and he can state to this committee if he was asked why he would like to participate on the Tri-C Board, because it's not that all boards aren't important. This one is special to me because it's education bound and it's about our future of our kids. So, Reverend Jenkins, please.
To Yvonne Conwell and to each member of this committee, good morning. Let me first share what an honor it is to be nominated as a Cuyahoga Community College trustee. As one who highly values education, the prospect of serving the student body of this premier institution excites me greatly. Chief among my desires to serve the college in this way is that Greater Cleveland is home. 7 years ago, my wife and I answered the call of God to move to Greater Cleveland for the purpose of ministry, and it has been a blessing in every way. Our home life and church life are unique in that my wife and I pastor 2 separate congregations of 2 separate denominations. Yet in so doing, we have been afforded the privilege of touching the lives of God's people in relevant ways from a much more broader perspective. Greater Cleveland is home. It is the place we have chosen to raise our family. We are blessed to raise our 2-year-old son Caleb here, knowing that we have a vested interest in cultivating the academic community in which he is nurtured. But well beyond our own children, we have the responsibility of working to ensure all people have creative options in place to pursue their dreams. Greater Cleveland is home. It is a place brimming with yet to be realized potential. We have all seen the transformation of this region over the last several years. New companies, new industries, and hence new opportunities for growth and expansion across the county makes the mission of the college that much more exciting to pursue. Helping students bring value to the marketplace in a way that benefits both employer and employee is rewarding and lays a foundation for this community's future. Since making Greater Cleveland my home, pastoring the Shiloh Baptist Church has provided a wealth of knowledge and experience in organizational development, but more importantly, people development. Pastoring a local congregation affords me the opportunity to meet and mentor people from varying walks of life and various spaces of life. While this poses an inherent challenge in that it is impossible to please everyone, leading at this level has taught me how to engage people right where they are for the purpose of helping them envision a future that is better and brighter. In an age of ever-advancing technology, text messages, and tweets, what is sometimes lost is the opportunity to connect and maintain real relationships with real people. Cuyahoga Community College is in the business of connecting real people with real opportunities, and it would be my honor to bring this experience to the position of trustee. Furthermore, since making Greater Cleveland my home, it has been my privilege to serve the community beyond the four walls of the church. Serving as a board member of the Northern Ohio Blood Services Board of the American Red Cross for 5 years gave me the chance to make real impact where it matters most, life itself. With an ever-growing and constant need for blood, it was a great opportunity to meet regularly with other leaders of Northeast Ohio for the purpose of recruiting new blood donors and raising awareness on the importance of the issue. Blood is core to life. It is one among many common denominators that draws us into the human family. Regardless of our socioeconomic status, or whether we are West Siders or East Siders, blood makes life possible. And so one of the greatest lessons serving the American Red Cross was that in finding the commonality among us all, we find one of the greatest opportunities to work together and build stronger communities of support. Clearly, by the depth and breadth of programs and services offered by the college, we see an institution fully committed to building stronger communities, one student at a time. It is in this way where my experience can further add value not only to the Board of Trustees, but prayerfully the college community as a whole. One last time, Greater Cleveland is home. It is my home. It is our home. And given the fact that more than 85% of the college's graduates make the choice to stay in this region upon graduation, it is their home as well. It is my prayer that offering the perspective of one who was fully entrenched in this region, fully committed to go all in with my gifts to serve others, and fully determined to make home stronger, that this committee would see fit to confirm my role as a trustee to the Cuyahoga Community College family. Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. Is there any questions from the committee? Councilman Miller?
Madam Chair, first to Mr. Glassburn, am I correct that both nominees are new appointments as opposed to reappointments?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And to Reverend Jenkins, congratulations on your appointment to this very important position that affects not only education but also workforce development, as Cuyahoga Community College has a very important role, among the most important roles in our county in that area. And my question is a broad one as to what things you think under your leadership that you could help Cuyahoga Community College to do differently or to do better.
One of my greatest passions has always been entrepreneurship and making connections with the next generation. And we've been able to make some inroads in our ministry in that regard. So one of the areas that I would ideally focus on would be looking at how the college's entrepreneurship programs are in place in various ways and how they could be enhanced.
And second question is, I know the work that you've done in Cleveland for the last 7 years is the most important, but could you say a little bit about the where you live, some of the things you did, where you went to school during the time before you got here, so that that's not just a total blank in our minds?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a native of Brooklyn, New York, raised in a faith-based home, lived in New York all of my formative years. For undergraduate school, I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and was blessed to graduate in 2003. And following that, I worked full-time in my family's advertising business in the sales department. And at the end of those 2 years, I accepted my call to ministry, and at that time I enrolled at Princeton Theological Seminary in Princeton, New Jersey. And when I finished Princeton, I met my wife at Princeton, and when we graduated, I served on staff at a church in Brooklyn, New York for 1 year prior to coming to Cleveland.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Councilman Germana.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to share to Reverend Jenkins and Ms. Presti, formally in confirmations, I've given my 2 cents about my experience with Tri-C. And coming from the perspective that Tri-C West, I was active in Parma government for 19 years before becoming a county councilman. So there's 2 areas I just wanted to cover briefly. And one has to do with community, and the second is the academic part of Tri-C. Tri-C West has been part of community, and it's some of our major events. The Relay for Life has been held there. 35 years ago, when I was at JC, we started having fireworks at Tri-C on the 4th of July, and currently the Ribbon Rock in Parma this year is going to be at Tri-C West. It's value to the community. It's one of our greatest assets, and I think that's really important, that connection, because it could have just been an educational and not actually a community partner. It's been terrific. The second aspect of this is I've got 2 sons and 2 daughters, but my 2 daughters in particular were greatly helped by Tri-C. My oldest daughter went to Kent for a year in art, but she really didn't have art in high school because she went to Holy Name High School. And so she took a year off and was working and attended Tri-C. Now, one of her teachers was Shirley Campbell, who was an art instructor at Tri-C. She also was an instructor at the Cleveland Institute of Art. I mean, it was phenomenal that Tri-C had staff like that. And Shirley Campbell really helped her, and she eventually went back to Kent in fashion design, and she's been a fashion designer in New York City for 25 years. My younger daughter was a good student and was at Washington Lee University, and she suffered from teenage depression and had to come home. But she went to Tri-C and didn't miss a beat. And with honors classes and so on, and then she went on to Franciscan University in Steubenville. So now I've got a granddaughter that goes to Valley Forge, but before she goes to Valley Forge, she goes to Tri-C and is taking some college courses. So Tri-C has been a big part of my family and my offspring, and it's academically, no one misses a beat if they have to come home from college, and so much is transferred. I'd just like to hear how you respond to those comments.
I think you just gave in a nutshell why an institution such as Tri-C is so important, and is so why it plays such an integral role in the life of family, but even the broader perspective. And as you just shared, when students start out elsewhere and for whatever reason have to come home, Tri-C provides a place where they can still move forward in life. Even having to take a step back, they can still move forward. And I know, and from what you just said from your own family, Tri-C offers a wide variety of programs and services that help moving forward, or that make moving forward possible for so many people. So that's one of the things that excites me most about serving this institution.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First and foremost, I apologize for my tardiness. I want to congratulate you on your appointment and tell you that I am a graduate of Tri-C, so it's very exciting. I'm pleased about your appointment because of the skills and the background that you bring, I think, and the spirit, Pastor. So I think that is awesome. One of the things that caught my eye is your professional experience as a pastor. You developed Rock Ministries. I don't know if I missed that in the presentation, but I'd like to know when it was established, the things that you do, and if you have any partnerships in the community.
Sure. So the Rock Ministry, which is an acronym for Random Opportunities for Community Kindness, is a relatively new ministry. We just started it last summer. And it gives us an opportunity to go out into the greater Cleveland area and really do what the name is, offer random acts of kindness. So thus far, we have, on random days, gone to a Starbucks, and we have given $5 gift cards to people who come in. We have partnered with the Ronald McDonald House through the Cleveland Clinic, and we have given families who are in the hospital for their children free dinners, just as a sign of support, emotional support. Most recently, we went to a local Bob Evans, and we offered to pay for individuals' breakfast, just as a sign of showing the love, care, and concern of Christ in a tangible way. And so, we'll wear T-shirts that says on the front, it's in the shape of a heart. It'll say Shiloh Rocks, and on the back it'll say Rock Ministry and what it is. And then we have these square cards, and it said we'll hand, as we bless each person, we hand them a card, and the card says "You've been rocked," and just gives them information on the ministry.
I think that type of initiative and creative interaction with the community is another asset that will be welcome to this board. And again, that was just something that caught my eye. I have a friend who does a similar type of function called Rake, which is Random Acts of Kindness everywhere. Okay. And so it always warms my heart and lifts my spirit when I see people doing things like that. And it reminds us to continue to pay it forward. As we are blessed, we are called to bless others. Mm-hmm. And I see Mr. Sacco in the audience today. So having her here is a strong, is a great support. She's been a very good mentor to me. So again, congratulations on your nomination as a student. I'm excited to see you come on board. So you certainly would have my support.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions for Reverend Jenkins? Thank you, Reverend Jenkins.
Thank you.
Ms. Presti?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Councilman Connell and committee, and thank you so much for inviting me and for this opportunity to speak with you this morning. My grandparents immigrated to the United States from Italy, so my parents are second generation Italians. They had high school education, but they had no opportunity or means to attend college. And my dad worked in his dad's business in the West Side Marketplace, a meat business, since the age of 9. And it was expected when he graduated from high school that he would go on and take over the business. Dad was a wonderful businessman, operating his store at 116th and Kinsman for 25 years, and then in Warrensville Heights, and he kept with that business till his early 70s. Mom had my sister and me after 17 years of marriage and 10 miscarriages. She stayed at home for a while raising us. She was so happy that we were here. And she helped Dad out in the business, but she graduated valedictorian from one of the Cleveland schools, and she was a great poet and writer. And I knew that she had this aspiration to be an English teacher, but she was never able to fulfill her dreams. So my parents raised my sister and I with the wonderful values of faith and love, but also education was a huge priority, and they were determined that their daughters would attend college. So I always joke that it was my dad made Italian sausage, and he sent his sausage to all the pizza parlors. So I tell everyone that it was his Italian sausage that permitted my sister and I to attend Bowling Green University and Ohio University, our state schools here. I'm a native Clevelander. I've stayed here most of my life except for college, came back to Case to attend graduate school and law school. I love Cleveland. We've had many opportunities to leave the city. My husband's a nephrologist. He's an academic physician now at Metro Health. He's been there for 25 years. Very sought after, still being sought after by Duke and other institutions around the country. But we just love Cleveland. We're committed to it. We believe in it. One of our sons is back here living now after college. And I'm just so excited for the future of the city and what's going on now. So we've raised our boys with the values. When we thought about their futures, we thought about values. We could give them values, love, faith, and education was a huge priority. I kind of joke, I let them follow their passion. So what happened is I ended up with a starving artist, which he's continuing on that path, and I'm very proud of him. It's challenging. And my younger son graduated with an astrophysics degree and said, "Mom, what do I do now with this thing?" But they're finding their way. But it's important that they follow their passion. When I was a music therapist after college, I was a behavior music therapist. I worked first at Belfair and then at the Cleveland Music School Settlement for 5 years. I worked with a variety of populations, severely behaviorally handicapped, learning disabled, alcohol and drug addicted in the Cleveland systems and throughout Cleveland. And something that always struck me early on is that everyone has potential. regardless of their intellectual, physical, emotional disabilities. And I can remember working with a young boy who couldn't read and he couldn't write, but wow, could he play piano by ear. So everyone has potential, and I really believe that it's really important to find those potentials and let everybody contribute those unique gifts that they have. And certainly they inspire the rest of us with what they do. So we need institutions like Tri-C College, because the mission, and I totally believe in this, and it was like the mission at the music school settlement. We need Tri-C to educate all people, regardless of race, gender, economic stature, disability, whatever it is. And it's also critical that Tri-C does attract the top talent, top professors that are passionate about what they do and passionate about teaching, that they're able to continue to form important strategic relationships throughout the community, that they are able to provide scholarships, because I know that their tuition is an incredibly low rate compared to the other universities in the state. And just to give all students the chance to fulfill their potential and become productive citizens, Tri-C changes lives. So in terms of what do I bring to Tri-C, or what do I hope to bring to Tri-C and contribute, I've had a lot of experience at this point, and I'm very blessed, very blessed. I joined Four City Enterprises 27 years ago. I've been serving as their general counsel, EVP, for 15 years. Wonderful company. I wondered why I was in there, because I went from nonprofit to for-profit, and I remember saying to my husband, what am I doing in corporate America? My heart is with the community. But he said, you know, maybe in this position and with this company you can accomplish more. And I think he was right. I would not be here if it wasn't for the Ratner, Miller, Shaffron families, who are so philanthropic and give so much to this community and other communities. I mean, our forte and our work is going into blighted areas and urban areas and placemaking, making communities, providing jobs. And this is the good things that come out of corporate America, providing jobs, providing places for people to work and play. And I know that's why I've been there. Plus, they've given me the freedom to come out in the community and serve so many nonprofit boards and contribute. And I know that's why I'm still there. I've had a non-traditional path in my education. I was a piano major, loved music, and I wanted to be able to keep music and then also do special ed. Music therapy was a new field in the early 70s, and so I had the opportunity to attend Ohio University. And music, in that, we use music as a medium to change behaviors. So I worked, again, with a variety of populations. I knew that I wanted to go back to school. I am passionate about education. And so when my husband was at the medical school, I had an opportunity to pursue an education at Case. And so I did the combined social work law degree. So I got a graduate degree at the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences, concentrating in community organization and planning, and then law school as well. While at SAS, I had to do internships, so I worked at Legal Aid. We were mainstreaming, it was then that you were mainstreaming special students into regular classrooms in cities, also mainstreaming groups of developmentally disabled and other populations into communities. Very important work. I've been a piano teacher on and off throughout my years. I've served many nonprofit boards. Among them, in a long tenure, when I join a board, I'm committed, and I'm not. It's just not my name on this board. I was on the board for 15 years at the music school settlement. I chaired many committees: finance, development, governance, and as I left it, I'm still in emeriti and still on the governance committee. But I was chairman of the board the last 3 years and took them through their centennial. The music school settlements, an institution like Tri-C, providing services, education, music therapy, and lessons in music to all populations, regardless of ability to pay. I was on the board. I've been on the board of Business Volunteers Unlimited for 15 years as well. I'm also so blessed to serve on the Sisters of Charity Board. A lot of their work, as you know, is in the poorest areas of Cleveland, working with the homeless, trying to get the homeless kids off the streets, working with health, into bringing that to communities and so forth. I've worked a lot with Case Western Reserve, my alma mater. So I've served on the Dean's Visiting Committee for 15 years. I'm on the Bencher Society. I'm chairman of that organization next year. I have taught classes there. I'm on President Snyder's executive campaign for raising funds, and I've worked with strategic planning for the law school, just served them in many, many ways. And I've also, I haven't, even though I'm an alma mater of Case, I've worked with Cleveland State as well. Jeff Mearns had invited me to be on various focus groups as he was doing strategic planning. Dean Boys, unfortunately, we're losing him now, but Dean Boys invited me to be on his national advisory committee. So I've also been able to take part in Cleveland State's activities and strategic planning. So I think that I've been blessed to serve on so many organizations, and I think the skills that I've been able to acquire, fundraising, strategic planning, and governance is a real important for me as corporate secretary of Forest City Enterprises. I'm involved with the board and the governance committee and public company regulations and that and also governance committees of nonprofits. So it'd be an incredible honor and a privilege to serve Tri-C University. Thank you.
Questions from the committee? Councilwoman Brown.
Good morning, and congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Given your background with music therapy and your personal experience with your son, and what is your idea with online classes, which seem to be on the rise versus the traditional classroom environment?
Oh, I think it's really important. I remember when Ohio University started offering, we called it distance learning. And I thought it was really, really important because not everybody can make it to the campus, to the university, for whatever reasons. And I think it's another wonderful way to raise revenue. So I highly support that, very much so.
Given your arts background, and I know you've taken a non-traditional path to where you are currently, but as the emphasis becomes on STEM, what is your opinion with liberal arts and degrees kind of in that realm? How do you feel, and what is your perspective with regards to that?
I think the arts are very, very important to the community. And I know sometimes those are the programs, right, that are cut in schools when they're cutting budgets. They cut out art, they cut out music. And they're a real necessity in education and in the community. Actually, my son's story is he came up to his father and me, and he's in high school, and said, I don't want to go to college. I've worked really hard all these years, and I just can't do it anymore. And I said, okay, fine, right? He's like, swallow. You'll have to get out and get a job. That's okay. It was an art teacher in high school that inspired him and turned that passion on. And some in this room know he had an accident and lost his dominant left hand before he graduated high school, but he continued on to get a 4-year degree in art, went on to Chicago to get a post-bac and got a graduate master's degree at SVA in Manhattan. And he uses his non-dominant hand. He doesn't have a prosthetic. And, again, but it was a teacher that turned him on to that passion. I also think with the arts, it's that right brain learning, right? I mean, I've got the left and right. I love it. I love the creative side that I have. It's problem solving. It's just such a necessary skill, I think, that employers, that the millennials will need when they get out. We want problem solvers as well as those that can be analytical and have the other skills. So I think the arts are just incredibly vital.
Councilman Germana, then Councilman Miller.
I just was very impressed with everything you had to say, but what struck me is we have some things in common. When you said 116th and Kinsman, and I started off life at 114th and Union, and my dad had a little meat market grocery store there, and then I attended Ohio University.
Wow.
And the fact that you worked for Forest City, again, just as Tri-C has been a great partner in the community, Forest City always was involved, of course, with the Parmesan Mall. And one other story that kind of made me think of one of the most dynamic meetings I was ever at was a bosses' night in the 1970s, and we had 2 guest speakers. One was a guy by the name of Dennis Kucinich, and the other one was Sam Miller. And what a fantastic night! And I got to know Sam Miller, and he's been a fabulous contributor. So you're working for a great company.
I've been so blessed. Sam Miller, Albert Ratner, Chuck Ratner, they are my role models. They really are. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Madam Chair, Ms. Presti, I'd like to also congratulate you and also thank you for your willingness to bring your wealth of talent and experience to Tri-C.
Thank you.
And you reflect two things that are among the things that I most believe in. One is that economic success is not best measured by what the gross product is, but it's best measured by how many more people we've brought in and enabled to be economically successful. And it's clear that you've done a lot of work around helping more people be able to take advantage of their talents and abilities. And the second thing is simply taking a positive attitude, and that things can be better, and that progress is made by taking things seriously and giving sustained effort over time. I know that the polls showed that only about 25% of the American people believe that America's on the right track. But I'm among the 25%, and it's because of people like you. I think it's people one at a time that are willing to get involved in the community and to work hard and to help other people and to make a difference. And I thank you again for being willing to serve.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor. Thank you very much.
Any other? Thank you both for your participation and your willingness to serve. That brings me into just a brief statement about the previous board members that you're replacing, who have served many years on this board, and it's not that we're unhappy with them. They want to move on and do other things, so we commend them as well, and we commend those that are following in their footsteps. And it's truly, nothing's getting stagnant, so I like that. Different minds, different people bring different talents, as Ms. Presti stated, and that makes up a board, and it keeps it moving. It keeps it fresh, and new ideas, new perspectives especially in the educational field. So we commend both of you. We commend the two that are stepping down, and we thank them for all their years of service as well. So I would like to make a motion to move this to the full council for second reading suspension. Is there a second?
Second.
I have several seconds, so that is very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And this will pass, I believe, on June 14th. Both of you are more than welcome to come down, or you can watch us live stream and to see how the council votes as a whole. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next item. Chrissy, if you could read that into the record, please.
Resolution 2016-0082, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
All right, if we can have Joe and Albert come up and present for us, please.
Good morning, Joe Nani from County Council. I just wanted to follow up from the last committee meeting where there was a lot of questions that were brought up. Subsequent to that meeting, we met with the administration, and what you see in front of you today is the recommendation from the HR department as a result of that meeting in terms of what everybody's comfortable moving forward with now. Basically, it's the same list, except we removed the forensic scientist 3 fingerprints and firearms tool marks, and also the senior GIS analyst. Depending on funding and the comfort level with the departments and the administration in the future, those can be ready to move forward on if in fact they want us to do that.
All right, Albert, do you have anything to share in regards to this?
Madam Chairwoman, the Personnel Review Commission has no objections to removing these from the substitute resolution. As we've stated previously, these positions were requested by the administration. When they are prepared to go forward, we will come back before you at that time.
All right. Any questions from the committee in regards to these?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller?
Not a comment, just, not a question, just a comment that I think the resolution as revised reflects the proper working relationship between the PRC and the Human Resources Department and the administration, and I think that together you've come up with a list of changes where the funding has been identified and we know the positions are needed and we're ready to move forward and I think it's what's needed and that both the PRC and the Human Resources Department, along with the administration, they all have roles to play, and I think working together it ensures better than either could do on their own that we have a good classification system that works properly and is based on good civil service practice. Thank you.
All right. Are you, Albert, are you prepared to talk about what this item is, this additional?
Joe Nani again. That document that you just held up was the spreadsheet that HR did to assist everyone in understanding kind of where they were with each of the positions. So I don't think it's necessary to go through that. It does identify on the last page the 3 items that were being held off there. So that if anybody has any questions about kind of the rationale for that, that's available in the last cell of that document.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Germano?
do we need a motion to move the substitute?
I believe so.
Okay,
Just
so
we-
I'll move that we move the substitute 216-0082.
Second.
All in favor to move the substitute as a working document, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Germana. Yeah, I didn't know if, I'm glad you stated that, Joe. I just wanted the rest of the committee that might not have been aware. I know me and Councilman Miller attended the last meeting and had an update, but that didn't necessarily mean the others did, so I thank you for that.
In a nutshell, the other 3 positions state that when the funding becomes available, then they'll ask to move forward and add those. So I think it's more about the funding and that each of the departments needs for those positions.
Yeah, what comes out of the monthly meetings, I believe, is every day there's a closer working relationship between county council, this committee, and PRC, as well as the HR administration, which is always a good thing. We have difference of opinions and different paths to get to the same point, so I like when we have the different diverse and we all come together and decide on what's best, and I think we all have the best interests of the county as well as the employees at heart. So this is always a good thing when we have different opinions, and then that way people can get a view of, they're thinking one thing and it's meant by somebody another way. So it's very good. We have our once-a-month meetings, and Councilman Miller joined us at the last one. They're always last Friday of the month between me and Rebecca, so
Did they already move?
pop in sometime and see the lively discussions that are happening about in regards to classification, pay equity, and all the things that we're all trying to strive for. But if there's no other further questions, Mike, did you have any questions?
Excuse me, Joe Nani again. The one thing I was going to bring up, if you were receptive to it, in light of the fact that we had held this item for a while, whether you would consider doing second reading suspension for this item.
I'm fine with it. Any objections? All right. So, any further questions in regards to this? Okay, if we can have a motion to move the amended item forward for second reading
Move
suspension.
that we move this forward and under second reading suspension to the full council.
Second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, miscellaneous business. We do have Mr. Glassburn going to give us some updates, but I would like to skip over that real quick and go to the other public comment, which is the individuals that are here today would like to share in regards to what we're going to have for an update. So, Chrissy, if you could call them up.
We have Miss Anita Jackson and Miss Laureen Beach together.
Okay. And then you ladies are welcome to stay after you give your presentation so you can hear our update from Mr. Glassburn.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I'm Dr. Anita Jackson, Emeritus Professor of Penn State University.
Hold one sec, I think the button's not on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I can hear myself. I am Dr. Anita Jackson, Emeritus Professor of Kent State University, clinical counselor and supervisor in Zanesville, Ohio, a former teacher and school counselor. I grew up here in Cleveland, and I currently live in Zanesville, Ohio.
I am Laureen Beach, a retired teacher of French from the Cleveland Municipal School District, and like my sister, I grew up in Cleveland, but I'm now a resident of South Euclid. We are nieces of the late Judge Perry B. Jackson, who became the first African-American judge in Ohio in 1942.
Today, we're seeking support to obtain a site for a memorial statue of Judge Jackson. We believe that a statue of the judge is a fitting tribute to him because of his trailblazing political and legislative achievements, civic leadership, and continued significance. Judge Jackson opened doors for many lawyers and judges of color. During his service, he set legal precedents that brought recognition to the city.
He not only served with distinction in the legal field, but was equally active in community endeavors. He served in the Ohio legislature as a state representative. He was instrumental in the merger of the Cleveland Call and the Cleveland Post. He was the first African American to be elected as a president of the Cleveland Church Federation and the first in the nation to head a church council. He was actively involved in the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, the YMCA, Boy Scouts of America, the Urban League, the American Red Cross, and numerous other civic organizations. And because of his public engagements, our uncle was often referred to as Mr. Cleveland. He retired in 1976, but continued to serve the court as a visiting judge until January 1986. He died just 2 months later.
Our memorial committee has communicated with County Chief of Staff Joe Nani and his staff over the past 3 years regarding our project. They made us aware of the county's Monument Commission established 2 years ago, but it does not appear that this commission has ever met. We are therefore unable to make major steps forward without a commitment to a site. Also, the sculptor is donating her time and talent and is now in her 80s. Thus, acting on a site is pertinent to minimizing the overall cost of the statue. Our hope is to obtain a monument site in downtown Cleveland because Judge Jackson's story of honor, service, and compassion belongs in the annals of Cleveland history. Thank you. Excuse me, I have a cold.
Thank you both. Mr. Glassburn. So you see why the public comment was very pertinent to what you're going to share with this committee today.
Thank you. For the immediate next meeting in 2 weeks, we will have a submission for the Ryan White Board and for DOPWIC, which is the District 1 Public Works committee that determines where state funding goes for roads and bridges. However, in terms of the following meeting after that, we do now, after much effort, have enough applicants to have at least quorum for the 3 boards that have been evading us, which is archives, equity, and monuments. I am doing outreach currently still to all the people that have applied. Some applied some time ago to ensure that they're still interested. But it's my goal for the meeting following, 2 meetings from now, to try to have all 3 of those, to have enough applicants advanced as nominees that we'd be able to get these organizations started. Other boards that will be have openings that I'd like to throw out for public consideration. We will be reappointing. There's our appointees to the land bank in the coming weeks. There are 4 positions that the county treasurer, the county executive, and the county council jointly make. Some of the 4 individuals are interested in continuing, but some are not, so there is an opportunity there. As has been in my previous comments, we are looking for 2 residents still for the audit committee. With the charter change this past November election, there are now 4 resident members instead of 2, and so those 2 positions are possibilities. Additionally, the Metro Board has a couple positions, and the Adams Board will have a couple positions that will be seeking for public individuals who are interested to apply from the public. Lastly, the Workforce Development Board, which is a 32-member board that we split with the City of Cleveland, always has openings, and we will have 2 or 3. We'll have 2 county-specific openings happening by the end of this month, and 1 joint that will need to make a replacement, but it's not expired yet. So those are the entities that are upcoming. DOPWIC and Ryan White again are the following meeting, but that afterwards, I'm going to really focus on trying to see if we can have nominee slates for monuments, equity, and archives, and any of the other ones I've mentioned that we're ready to move forward with.
All right. So what you're presenting to council would be the Adams Board, did you say?
Yes, Adams has some openings. There's individuals still serving, but their terms will expire at the end of this month. Land Bank, Audit, Metro, and Workforce. Those 5 are the. And of course, for equity, monuments, and archives, those 3, we still very much are welcoming more applicants. The critical mass that we have now is to have quorum, but we will not likely be making a full slate of appointments for any of those boards, at least in this first set. So there's still going to be open positions if there are individuals who are interested.
Okay, and did Chrissy reach out to you that this committee usually only meets once a month in the summer months? So would those line up with the July 5th committee meeting, those new appointments that you're going to present?
I think the ones that are being submitted today that will go on next week's council agenda would be the July 5th then.
Okay.
And it would be whichever meeting is the following meeting to that.
Okay. And then August, we're still kind of hung up in the air when we would have that meeting. So there's always the possibility, if we can't do August, that we could do the 2 in July. So just to make you aware of that. And I try to give us a break a little bit. So if you could line those up with Chrissy and Jean, that would be appreciated. I don't want to hold back the monuments in any way, but if need be, they could start in September. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Glassburn in regards to the updates?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller.
I don't have a question for Mr. Glassburn, but I do have one for the chair. And it's regarding July 5th. Because of the holiday on the 4th, I see a potential conflict with the Border Control meeting, and I'm wondering if you would consider starting at 9 o'clock rather than 10 o'clock.
We most likely probably will. We've discussed that, me and Chrissy. This committee is always affected when we have the Monday holiday, so we would probably, I'm glad you brought that up just for the committee members to remember. We'd probably get pushed up to 9, especially if we have several boards, all those individuals that have to be brought in. So it would take probably a 2-hour time slot, or at least an hour and a half time slot. Okay. So yes, we'll probably do 9 o'clock. Is that okay, Councilman Germana? Well, you know, I always give people the opportunity. We can always work around things before it gets
Madam Chair, if I may, we'll, the nominees that will be submitted today would be the ones for that meeting, whether it's July 5th at 9 or whichever time you select. There should be only 4 individuals, 3 of which are county employees, that are part of that group. So it should be a lighter package for that meeting.
Oh, okay. So when, you know, we might can do it 10. We'll wait till I see what the agenda looks like. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Fine.